Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to day one of our 3-day challenge. I'm really so excited to have all of you here today, and I hope that this 3 days is going to get you to just start focusing more on yourself, right? We tend to have an outward focus now in life where we're focusing on everybody else and what's going on around us. And there's really a lot of noise in the world right now, whether we are on social media or whether it is watching something on Netflix or we're reading the newspapers. We have this outward focus that takes a lot of our attention away from us. So for this 3 days, I'm going to challenge you to actually focus on yourself, to take care of you for now. All right. So today we're going to be talking about relationships. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about prosperity and purpose. And on day 3, we're going to focus on you living your best self, stepping into your authenticity, your worthiness, and living your best life. All right. So let's get started with today's session. So, for those of you that don't know who I am, I know sometimes, some people have joined via social media and some have shared a link with friends. So, I'm Naidoo. I am coaching now for 24 years. It's almost 25 now. And what I did was a few years ago, I decided that I want to know why bad things happen to good people, why people in relationships, I find some people are thriving in relationships, whereas other people are really struggling, or there are some people that just can't meet the right kind of person. So what I did was I went out and I interviewed over 1,000 people. I interviewed people who are single to see where's the challenges, people who are divorced to see what went wrong here, people who are happily married for a very long time to see what's the secret here and why do these relationships not just work but thrive, where people after 30, 40, 50 years are still in love with each other. All right. And I think that is a rare, because when we look at the divorce rate right now, it's 53%. That's the worldwide divorce rate, right? And we look at that, and I think the system is broken. And today I'm going to talk about some of those challenges and why I think the system is broken. And then let's look at if we can find a better way to be in relationship with people. So this is now, it doesn't matter if you're single, if you're in a relationship, you're looking for one, you're not looking, you're happy with yourself. We're talking about all relationships. And I like to focus on the most important relationship first and foremost, and that is your relationship with yourself. So I'm on a mission right now to awaken 1 million people to the idea that epic relationships are consciously created. It is not found. We don't go out there and say, how can I find the best partner and have the best relationship? In our lives, very often I watch people who are single thinking the last partner was problematic, right? So the partner was the problem. And now I'm looking for the right partner so that I can live happily ever after. All right. And that is the misconception that we have, because as long as someone is not abusive, um, you can create a healthy relationship. So if you're in a relationship right now and you feel there's a whole lot of things that need work, as long as both people are committed, you can make that work. All right. Um, Sorry, because I'm admitting people, I'm losing track here. Okay, so what has also happened over the years is I've been interviewed on various radio stations. I've written articles for different newspapers, magazines, got a YouTube channel that's got over 100 videos in there. So it's constantly, what is happening right now in the world with relationships. We look at the masculine and the feminine, and there's such a disconnect right now. So, I'm frequently being called to talk on these topics on these various podcasts. And the overview of what we're going to cover today is I'm going to look at the state of relationships today. We're going to cover the reasons for the challenges that we see happening. And I'm going to give you the number one secret to creating happy, healthy relationships that can last a lifetime. All right. And I'm going to give you a peek into what the new paradigm looks like. And in the end, then, if you've got any questions you've been jotting down, we can go through that at the end. All right. So let's look at relationships as they are today. To understand how things are today, we've got to peek a little bit into the past. So, in the past, the roles were very clearly defined. The man was the breadwinner, he was the provider, the protector. The woman was the nurturer, the homemaker. She took care of the husband, the kids, the food, and all of that. And because those roles were so clearly defined, at that time, it worked. All right. But as we moved away from the patriarchy and women started getting a better education, and so women were getting a better education, starting to step into the work world. We are better educated now than most men, and that those are the stats. I'm not making that up, right? So in the work world, what has happened is that women now have had to become so strong that we've stepped into masculine roles. Okay, so you'll find that a lot of the women I deal with are quite successful on the work front. They are women who have great jobs, they have their own homes, they travel independently, they have their circle of friends. And the question I see coming up very often is, why do we now need a man? Okay, so the men in the group don't disappear because this is as much for you as it is for any woman, right? Because men have to step up in a very, very different way today, like never before. Okay, so today what is happening is there is uncertainty because now we don't know what are the roles really, who does what. Because if a woman is bringing in the money and she's quite independent, now men are starting to ask when they meet a woman that is strong, that is very independent, men are now starting to ask, but what role do I play in her life? How can I add value in her life? And with men, it's in their DNA to be the provider and the protector. But if they can't do that for a woman, now they're starting to ask, but what's my role? So you can see there's a whole lot of uncertainty on the masculine side. And I'm going to show you, the effect that that uncertainty is having on the men in the world as well. All right. And I think what has happened is we've been programmed from the time we're quite little, we're programmed to hide our pain. So when we go through relationships that are really trying, we've had sometimes it's abuse, sometimes it's someone betraying you, it's cheating, or it's financial issues, the lack of responsibility, whatever it was, when we've had these kind of issues and we kind of like say, let me just work through it myself. So I'm going to figure this out, and I don't want to show the world that I'm in this amount of pain. So I pitch up at work every day, and I do whatever needs to be done every day because the bills need to be paid, right? So I get it done, but I'm not really going to a point where I am slowing down. I'm going within. I'm feeling this pain, and I'm asking myself, how did I attract this kind of partner? What is it that they brought and I brought into this relationship that caused the breakdown of it? And it's never really one person that's 100% at to blame when a relationship ends. Sometimes, very rarely, we get relationships that end amicably, where two partners get to a point and they say, we've walked this path to this point, but now we want different things. So I can still love you, I can still care for you, but I want a life separate from you. And in that case, which is really, really rare, we can then move on to something else without having to do really deep inner work. Um, but in cases where we've been hurt in the past, and for me, it's like if you're a human being, you've been hurt, right? At some point in your life. So it's that work that we're not quite doing right. So your energy is your most precious resource. Your energy is made up of your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, your experiences in life, your emotions. All of that makes up your energy. The question is, where are we placing the majority of our energy? If we're putting our energy in the past and we're looking at the hurt from the past, we will be living in regret or fear or even still angry at that person that hurt us or left us somehow from the past. Or if we're living in the future, then if we haven't done the healing work in the middle, the future is going to look anxious. We're going to say, I don't want to get hurt. This is what's happened in the past, and I don't want to live that again. So we're going into the future with a big shield in front of us saying, don't hurt me. I'm trying to protect myself here. And when we have this energetic shield in front of us, the people that come into our lives can feel that. They feel that you are closed off, you shut down, right? And as a result of that, you can't let someone else in. Then there's, of course, the expectation. Very often I meet people and they're able to give me a massive grocery list of what they expect from their partners, whether current or future, right? They have these expectations coming in. And unfortunately, we don't have the deeper conversations with our partners right in the beginning to see what is it that you expect in a relationship and from a partner, and ask the question of, can I actually meet those expectations for this person? And then what are my expectations? Can I voice that? And then see if this partner is able to meet those expectations, right? And if we go even deeper, so I'm talking about this as relationships as they happen today, right? When I go into the new paradigm of relationships, you'll see where even this expectation is something we need to drop. All right. Very often, I can literally say I've met hundreds of people who have seen the red flags up front when they meet a person, but they choose to ignore it because they say, well, if someone loves me, they're going to change for me, or I can change them, I can fix them, I can support them to be better, to be different. And when we do that, that is a recipe for disaster. Okay. Our focus also is on what I want instead of who I am. When I focus on who I am and who I want to be in a relationship, then I know what I need to work on within myself so that I show up as this person and I have these experiences within a relationship. But when I'm focusing on what I want, I'm not focusing on me any longer, because that means you need to be this height and look this way and dress this way and speak this way and have this kind of education and have this bank balance and live in this area and speak this language and have this religion, and on the list goes of what I want. And the only reason we have a long list of what I want is because inside of us we feel incomplete. So when you feel incomplete, we are looking for someone else to come in and complete us. All right, another recipe for disaster. Um, Sometimes I see people in relationships and they don't want to leave because they say, I've put in so much time, right? I've been in this relationship for 10 years or 15 or 20 years and I don't want to leave. Or we're here for the kids. it's because of the kids that we're not leaving, or financially we can't have two households. So we're here for those external reasons. And the one about children, we're in it for the children, that is a massive cop out, because I've never seen children happy in an unhappy home. All right. Um, and then the other reason we have challenges is because we don't know the true purpose of relationships. When we come into relationships, and I ask this question a lot. It's almost every time I meet a group of people, or I'm doing a talk to a group of people, I ask this question: what do you think is the purpose of relationships? And I get answers like companionship. It is to share your life with someone, to grow old together, to have company when I'm going on a holiday, to bring up kids together, all of those reasons. But and they're all valid, right? None of them are not valid. But the true, genuine purpose of relationships is self-actualization, which means you growing into the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Because on your own, it's actually easy, because you can have your way all the time. All right. You don't need to negotiate with anybody. You come and go as you please. You eat what you want. You wear what you want. You visit who you want. You have the friends you want. Whatever it is, it's easy. But in a relationship now, it brings a whole new dynamic in, because your likes are not identical, your beliefs are not identical, your goals are not identical. All right. So now, when we understand that the true purpose of relationships is self actualization, it's for me to step into my fullest potential. Now, when I look at the relationship and there's a challenge, I look at the challenge and I say, this challenge is happening for me, not to me. I'm not a victim. It's happening for me, so that I can step up to my next level. Right. So let's look at the challenges as a result of this, where we have this, we don't know the roles anymore. How does this show up in relationships? Firstly, we are afraid to have the deeper conversations. We're afraid to do that because we feel that if I am vulnerable with my partner, or if I call them up on something that they're doing, then they're going to leave. So the fear is greater than you wanting a truly authentic relationship with somebody. And secondly, is we don't have the tools. We don't know how to have these conversations. I meet people who are living together for over 20 years and they do not have any deep, meaningful conversations. So all their conversations are about the bills and the groceries and what are we having for dinner, and it's about the school and the homework and then planning the next holiday. It's everything external. But in terms of how I feel, what I want for myself, those conversations are not happening. All right. And I find that quite sad, because when you can really have those deeper conversations, when you can put the shield down and you can be vulnerable, that creates true, genuine connection. It's the vulnerability that creates connection. Right. Then I see people turning to someone else instead of investing in their own relationship. It's easy today, so easy to find someone else, to go out and have an affair. You just open up any social media account and there's hundreds of people there that are potentially wanting the same thing. There are dating apps that you go on that have people in relationships, married, and they're looking for a partner. So instead of focusing on the relationship they're in and making that the best possible relationship, and becoming the best version of themselves in that relationship, they just look outside and say the next person is going to bring the thrill, the excitement that is missing in this relationship that I had in the beginning. So the falling in love phase in any relationship right in the beginning, it's exciting, it's a thrill, right? So when we move out of the falling in love phase to the being in love phase, then yes, things do settle down. Yes, we do need to focus on other responsibilities, right? Work is important, home, family, friends, everything is important. So in that initial phase, we kind of like put everything else on the back burner and make this person the center of our universe. Okay. But at some point, when you now make the commitment that you want to be together and be in a relationship, then the outside world is going to come knocking on your door. All right. And that's the point that I think people are into the chase. So I will go out and I'll do everything. I'll buy the flowers. I'll do the candlelit dinners and the weekends away. And we'll do everything possible to get the other person to commit to being in a relationship. And as soon as that happens, it's like my work is done. I got the person, so my work is done. And that's where we make the mistake because from then, yes, it's going to become boring. All right. You can be together for 50 years and you can still be finding out new things about another person because you will still be finding out new things about yourself. Okay. We just need to know that we have to look within. Another challenge is where we expect one person to fulfill multiple roles. So if you are my partner, you're going to be my partner, my lover, my best friend, my confidant, my shopping buddy, my movie buddy, my person that cheers me on, the one that encourages me in my work, the one that's going to listen to me when I've had a hard day. So we want one person to fulfill all of these roles that if we go back in the past, an entire community provided that. When we had, different generations all living in the same home, people fulfilled different roles. Now we want one partner to fulfill all of those roles. And it really is too much for any one person. All right. Okay, so I've covered not doing the healing work, right? I've recently come across a podcast that I was listening to where it stated that 95% of people do not do the healing work between relationships. So if you've had a challenge somewhere and you left that relationship, then instead of taking that space, that gap, and saying, let me go within and let me heal myself. Let me come to a place where I know myself, I know my worth, I know what I deserve, and where I can fall in love with myself, fall in love with my life. Really find out who am I when I'm not attached to anybody else, right? That is the deep inner healing work. And when you do that, and when you're in a place where you're feeling whole and complete, that is the time to move into a new relationship. Not when you're feeling broken and lonely and afraid of being alone. Okay. And then this is the challenges I hear from people who are single. They say, I'm too busy. I don't go out. I'm not meeting new people. Or I'm not meeting the right kind of people. And I'm going to call you out on this. And part of the challenge for you, if you are single and saying these things, is you're going to stand in front of the mirror tonight and you're going to say to yourself, stop with the excuses. These are excuses. They're not reasons. They're not valid because you cannot say to me that the people in relationships have more time than you and you're single. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that people that are running major corporations have more time than you. If they're doing this, if they're successful in the world and they're in a relationship, you can't tell me that they have more time. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. So stop with the excuses and go in and find the real reasons. And I'm going to give you a clue here. The real reason is that you are afraid. You're afraid of being hurt. You're afraid that someone's going to abandon you, that someone's going to reject you. Some part of you is saying, am I worthy of the kind of relationship I imagine in my head? Am I worthy of that? And saying I'm worthy is not the same thing as feeling and knowing it. All right. That's one of the biggest challenges in the world today is that even people who are tremendously successful in the world still inside of them have a feeling that they are not completely, totally, utterly worthy. So in the beginning, I said, the current state of relationships and the ones we want to create going forward, we need to understand ourselves, where we are, and then we can make informed decisions for where we're going in the future and the kind of relationships we want to create. So, all of us, whether you're a man or a woman, we all have both masculine and feminine energies. All right. And the trick is not to balance these energies. We cannot ever be 50% masculine, 50% feminine, right? So it is to harmonize both these energies within us. It's to recognize, firstly, that we have both. So if you look at the past is where men were in their masculine, women were in their feminine. And they came together and they made that work at that time. That doesn't work anymore today. All right. So we want to look at harmonizing, and I'm going to go more into detail there. And like I said, women today have become quite, what's the word? Quite independent, quite forceful, quite masculine, and it can work in the work world to a degree, but it is definitely not ideal for relationships. Okay. It is the polarity that creates attraction. So if you have a man that's in his masculine and a woman that's in her masculine, it's like two negative ends of a magnet. You're trying to push these magnets together and they're going to repel. You need a positive end and a negative end for these two magnets to attract. So you need one to be slightly dominant masculine and the other to be slightly dominant feminine. So let's see what happens when we have this polarity and it is wounded energy. So, for example, if I talk about excessive masculine energy, and I want you to recognize it if it's in yourself, if you've ever been this way, or if you've been with a partner that's shown these kind of traits, or maybe it's a family member or a friend that you know that has these traits. The excessive masculine can come across initially as someone that is very charismatic, can be very successful, but they are defined by status and possessions. They can become overly controlling, especially if they don't get their way. So they can be very charismatic until you tell them no, or you disagree with them. And then you'll see they can become aggressive, they can become abusive. And the reason for all of this is because throughout their lives, they were never allowed to actually express their emotions. So they've been suppressing their emotions for so long that at some point, this is going to explode all over the place. So the excessive masculine attracts the wounded feminine. You know, when we say opposites attract, this is what it is. So remember, he's the abuser. And who does he attract? He attracts the victim. So the wounded feminine is the victim. It's, I can't do this. Please do this for me. She takes the blame for everything. Even if she's being abused, she says, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just cleaned this properly. You know, so he's angry because of something I did. She has no boundaries. So people will use and abuse her. They'll walk all over her. No boundaries. She's got a lot of unhealed trauma that she's holding within herself. And therefore, she feels completely unworthy. Okay, so you can see how the magnets work here, right? The opposites attract. So if you're in the excessive masculine, we need to do that healing work around the emotions. You have to be given permission to start expressing those emotions. And I always look at, like I have a program called Consciously Creating Epic Relationships. And I look at the men that come onto that program. And their transformation is so massive because this is the first time they have permission to be authentic, to be vulnerable, to say it like it is, to feel whatever it is they're feeling. They have permission, so they thrive. All right, and so you can see. So you just decide: are there places in my life where I have any of these characteristics, or have I attracted somebody that has these characteristics? Then we go to the other extreme, right? Also wounded, but now we have wounded masculine and excessive feminine. It's not just toxic masculinity, we also have toxic feminine energy, right? So the wounded masculine is someone that feels unworthy or inadequate. I'm not good enough. They suppress their emotions as well, but they are fearful. They're fearful of failure. They're fearful that they're going to let someone down, that they're never going to be good enough for someone. So they are definitely not the leaders. They lack self-confidence and they don't trust themselves. And um, they kind of like try to seek control to feel powerful. So it's like I want the place to be clean, spotlessly clean. And that's their way of showing I have some power. All right. And the wounded masculine usually attracts the excessive feminine. So the excessive feminine is the diva. Okay. She is the one that is demanding. She's manipulative. She's emotional and dramatic. She wants validation all the time. She seeks to change people, fix them, and she's always right. You can't argue with her. So the excessive feminine always attracts the wounded masculine because she wants to fix him. She wants to make him better. And she will say to him, you need to man up. You need to get things done. You need to stand up for yourself. She's always talking down to him in this way. And he then goes deeper and deeper into the wounded masculine. And by the way, the wounded masculine is the one that's most likely to have an affair. Okay, so now let's move into this future paradigm. When we take the time and we actually do the healing work, so we go within and we say, wherever I have excess energy, I need to release that. Wherever I have wounded energy, I need to heal that. And when we actually do this inner healing work, we come to a place where I have within me a healthy masculine and a healthy feminine. So I've got both these, right? So it's not you're going to choose one or the other. You're going to have both of these when you come into balance. So you're going to be the king and the queen, okay? So the healthy masculine is someone who is very confident, very grounded, without having to be loud. It's not an ego, it's a confidence that he has within himself. I'm going to say himself and herself, but remember it is both, it applies both to men and women, right? Um, he's a true leader, but he leads with integrity. That means everyone wins, everyone is taken care of. It's not me and then someone else is suffering, right? So he leads with integrity. He takes responsibility, provides safety and security. He's emotionally balanced. And then the healthy divine feminine radiates self worth. All right. She is someone that is emotionally open and expressive. She has very clear boundaries in terms of what is allowed and what is not. And she has the ability to trust her own intuition. So the divine feminine is about us tapping into our own intuition, our inner wisdom, and being led and guided from within. And when we are, then we pull in our masculine energy and take action. All right. So it's the intuition first, it's the guidance first from within, and then we take action. All right. And this is now the person that feels worthy of love, worthy of abundance, worthy of a life of joy and peace and harmony. All right. So when we are able to harmonize our own masculine and feminine energies, now we come into a place of wholeness. Now I'm not looking for someone to complete me because I'm already complete. All right. And in this space, now we attract a partner who is in their wholeness, their harmonized masculine and feminine. So let's look at this new paradigm of relationships, which I call conscious relationships. So we're not hoping that one day we're going to find the perfect partner and then, we're going to live happily ever after because everything's just going to work out. This is relationships that unconsciously, we know who we are, we know what we bring, we know what it is that we want from the other person and from the relationship. We know what we bring, what we offer. When we know that, we can consciously create a relationship with another person. So here we have harmonious masculine and feminine. Both partners have the sense of wholeness, very high self-esteem. Both partners are living their life on purpose, right? So I have a purpose that I've come here with. You have a purpose. I'll support you to live your purpose. You supporting me to live my purpose. Can you see the purpose doesn't have to be the same? All right. In this kind of relationship, you don't need to be the same religion because it's a total allowing of the other to be who they are and be the best version of themselves that they can. All right. So the mutual support. Communication is open because there's no fear that if I am vulnerable or if I say what I need to say, the other person's going to leave. You have the certainty because you've come in consciously and you've chosen each other and you're saying, I've chosen you and I'm here to stay. So whatever it is, work through it. So when you're coming in there, you know, I'm coming here to become the best version of myself that I can be. I'm going to support you to be the best version of yourself that you can be, that you've laid out for yourself, not what I've laid out for you. All right. I'm not going to tell you this is what you should be. I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to support you on your journey. Different a conscious relationship is. This is the new paradigm, and this is what we need to be striving for. If we want relationships that last a lifetime, this kind of relationship can. All right? Because we're not here for the short term, because as long as you get up in the morning, you open your eyes, you take a breath, you have more to learn. Okay. And as long as you have more to learn, you're here in partnership with someone that's also living in that way, that's learning, growing, evolving into their next best version of themselves. This kind of relationship can last a lifetime. All right. In this relationship, because you know the other person's not going to run out the door when you bring up some issue that you want to resolve, it becomes safe for you to be vulnerable. And like I said before, it's the vulnerability that creates connection, right? And you know that your time together is actually sacred. When you look at each other, you feel in this relationship that you matter. You are important. One. It is about both people saying, I see you, I hear you, I value you, I appreciate you, I appreciate you, and I love you. You see, this kind of relationship is there's someone's got their microphone on. If you can please just put yourself, mute yourself, and then you can unmute later on. Thank you. Um, so just as I say these things, being seen, being heard, being valued, being acknowledged and appreciated and loved unconditionally, can you imagine a relationship like that? We're not here to play small, right? We came here to create. Our primary purpose is to create. We came here to create a life. If there's something you can dream of, you can create it. It is within your ability to create it. Okay. Can you imagine being in a relationship when someone says, I want the best for you, or I'm proud of you, or I truly admire you? Can you imagine a relationship like that? Right? In order for us to consciously create a relationship like this, you have to fall in love with yourself first. This is a crucial step. Fall in love with yourself first, because you cannot expect another person to love you if you don't first love yourself. Because the outer world, your partner, your parents, kids, siblings, friends, co-workers, all of them, the outer world is a reflection of what you hold inside of you. So if you feel this immense love and acceptance for yourself, guess what? Every single relationship is going to mirror that back to you. That's just the mirror. And when we want to change something, we don't go trying to change it in the mirror, right? If I have a spot on my face, I'm going to wipe it off my face. I'm not going to try and wipe it off in the mirror. Okay. So the world, if we look at that and we say, this is a reflection of my beliefs, how I see myself, what I know I have to offer. The world is reflecting it to me. If I don't like the reflection, I'm going to go inside and make those changes. If I like the reflection, then I keep doing what I'm doing, right? So I promised you I'm going to give you the number one secret for a happy, healthy relationship. And I think if you've been really following what I've been saying so far, you already know it. And that is you don't work on the relationship, you work on yourself. So even when I have a couple coming to me for coaching, I say to them, for the duration of the coaching, you are not a couple. You're going to work on yourself. You're going to work on yourself. This is the reason why I believe, and it's just my tiny little belief, I believe that therapy and couples counseling does not work. Because when we go in, we want the therapist to fix our partner. We say, fix him and then I'll be happy. Fix her and then I'll be happy. So our focus is not on ourselves. Our focus is on everything they doing wrong that the therapist now needs to fix. And then I will be happy. But at no point are we there to say, I want to see what I'm doing that I could be doing differently. That's very rare. Okay. Albert Einstein says the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. I met somebody once after about 10 years. So I'd known him for a bit, and then there was a 10-year gap where I hadn't spoken to him or seen him or anything. And then contacted me out of the blue. And one of the things he said is, I'm exactly the same person. I haven't changed a bit. And I thought that was the sad. Can you imagine going through 10 years of your life and you haven't changed a bit? All right. That's not a great thing to be proud of. Okay. So the way I work with my clients when we want to create epic relationships, well, one of the things I do is I work with archetypes. And you can look at this for yourself as well, right? The archetype of the queen would be your divine feminine energy. The king would be your masculine energy. And when we're working with these energies, the queen is about having the sense of worthiness. It's, I know who I am. I know where I belong. I know what I bring. I know what I have to offer. And therefore, I will never settle for anything less than that. The king is the leader. And we're not talking about excessive king, which is the tyrant, or wounded king, the one that, can't make any decisions. We're talking about the balanced masculine energy. That king is the true leader. He brings the safety, the security, the support. He brings all of that. Other archetypes are like the lover and the seductress. And what I've seen, I would say 9 out of 10 women today have wounded seductress energy. I meet some really smart, beautiful, confident, successful women. They have wounded seductress energy. That is being in touch with your body, the intimacy, your creativity, your intuition, your wisdom. All of that is the seductress energy. And that is very wounded. A lot of people who can't set boundaries. If you've got wounded energy, you can't set clear boundaries. That's when people use and abuse you. You need to work on your warrior energy. All right. So there's 14 different archetypes that I work with. So to give you some resources, I have a YouTube channel and a Facebook group called The Love Evolution. Both are called The Love Evolution. This particular recording will be up on the YouTube channel, but I'll also share the link on the Love Evolution Facebook group. So if you want to share it with anybody else, you can just direct them to the group and they can watch the like I said, this is a challenge, right? So I'm going to give you a challenge now. So if you are coupled, I want you to rate your relationship on a scale of 1 to 10. You can be completely honest because I'm not going to ask you to share this with anybody. This is purely for yourself. So I need you to just go in, put your hand over your heart, feel inside of you, look at this relationship, feel it, have a good sense of it, and say, if I were to rate this relationship, knowing what challenging relationships look like, what wounded energy and excessive energy looks like, what balanced energy looks like, what conscious relationships look like, where would I rate this relationship from 1 to 10? Okay. Then, after you've rated it, I want you to name 3 things that you came across today that you can implement to shift your relationship, just to make it 10% better. That's it. Like, can you make time to have a deeper conversation with your partner? Can you look at yourself and say, where do I need to heal? Can you learn a skill to resolve conflict? Can you do one thing, right, that is going to shift your relationship and make it just 10% better? I think if you want radical change, you're going to need radical commitment. Okay. Either you're going to get away from the world for 30 days and you're going to take a deep dive and do all the work and complete transformation, or you're going to say, I'm going to give myself a year, which I think is far more feasible because we still have to work, we still have to live our lives. But if I have a year, and over this year, I'm going to learn the skills, learn the tools. I'm going to do the healing work. I'm going to have a vision of what I want to create. And over a year, you can completely transform not just your relationship, but your life. Okay. And then if you are single, I want you to list all of the excuses. Though I'm too busy, all the good ones are taken. I just can't seem to find the right person. Where do you go? There's 8 billion people in the world. But where do you go to find, right? If you've got all these excuses, I want you to list them down. And then after you've listed it, you're going to go to each one and you're going to say, is this true? If you're saying I'm too busy, you're going to go there and you're going to ask yourself, is this true? Is this really, really, really true? Because if you're spending time watching Netflix, if you're spending time cleaning too much or gymming too much, anything too much, working too much, anything too much, that means you're hiding. You're taking that time and you're doing busy stuff so that you don't have the time to be alone with your thoughts, with your emotions, to look at your life and say, what can I do to actually attract a partner into my life, right? So I want you to really get real with yourself. And then after you've done that, and you'll see all of your excuses are going to fall away. And then you're going to say, what's one action step that I can take to attract a partner? One action step. All right. Can I start letting the shield down? Can I figure out why I have the shield up? And can I take some steps to let the shield down? Can I have a chat with a friend and say, hey, I think I'm ready to meet somebody? What can you do? One thing. All right. So that's the challenges. Okay. So let's come back here and let's see what are some of the questions that you have. You can unmute and ask your question, or if you want to, you can type it in the chat and then I can read it there and answer. Anything relationship related, throw it out. Let's see. Even if you have to give me your one takeaway, that's fine too. This is a safe space for us to just be vulnerable. It's your testing ground to feel safe.
Hi, Kes.
Hi, Shakira.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. And you? How are you doing?
I'm I'm well, thank you. Thank you for this very informative session. My takeaway from the session is the level at which I am comfortable to love and appreciate and value myself is the reflection that I will get or receive in a partner. And not necessarily just a partner, but like you say, with all relationships, family, friend, and romantic. So thank you for that.
Absolutely beautiful. And I'm glad you took that away and, make it your truth now. Um, yeah. And a good thing to do, with that is at the end of every day, just ask yourself, how much did I love myself today? How much did I accept myself today? Because that'll give you an idea of how much you can expect from anyone else, right?
Yeah,
Um, Healing.
thanks.
Just how long should I take to heal before I can be open to a new relationship? Okay. If you've come from an abusive relationship, remember every person is different. So there isn't a set time frame like you can do this in 1 month or you can do this in 3 months. You will do the healing work until you get to a point where you feel I've let go. I'm not angry anymore. I'm able to actually forgive this other person that has abused me. And remember, forgiveness is not making what they did right. Forgiveness is you freeing yourself. All right. It has nothing to do with the other person. When you hold on, you're holding on to the hurt, the anger, the pain, the guilt, the blame, you're holding on to all of these things. And the person being harmed is you. You're the one that's carrying it. But the moment we say, I'm ready to forgive and release and let go. I'm ready to go within myself and find my own sense of worth that I actually deserve to be happy. I deserve love. I deserve a wonderful partner, beautiful relationship. I deserve this. When you start putting a new energy out and you start feeling that that is your new truth, that is when you're ready to move forward. So you decide how long that's going to take you. You know, if you're working on it 1 hour a week, it's going to take you years. But if you're putting in more time and energy into it, you know, it can take you a much shorter time. Um, Rachia says, taking away to heal myself before you get involved with someone else. So often we look for love in the wrong places and think someone else can heal us. Yes, that is so true. Hey, a lot of the time I feel like, when we have those opposites attract, where the wounded masculine attracts the excessive feminine and the excessive masculine attracts the wounded feminine. This is where the kind of relationships we attract if we have not done the healing work. All right. And you wonder, very often we'll have people who will go through relationship after relationship. In the beginning, it always starts out immensely well. And then later on, within a couple, like normally it's a 3 month mark, around there, you start seeing this person has the same patterns that the last person had. And now you're having the same kind of issues that you had in the past. I hear people say, I always attract the losers, right? It's not about that. It's because you attracted that person because you didn't do the healing work first. But if you had done the healing work and you coming from a place of wholeness, when you see the red flags, you will walk away because you'll say, I'm seeing the red flags. I deserve better. I know who I am. I know what I bring. I know what I want. So that's when you see the red flags, you're able to see it instantly and say no. You believe in what I call love abundance. That means there isn't just one partner for you in this world. There's thousands of possible partners for you in the world, right? And you will attract the one that equals your vibration. And your vibration is determined by your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, your actions. All of that creates your frequency, and you attract exactly the same frequency from the other person. All right. Well,
Hi, Cass.
yes, Felicity.
So I actually your reply to Tracy was very, very, very correct. And I think what Tracy can do is to forgive and say thank you for the lessons from the abusive relationship, and do it as often as you can. If it's 100 times a day, and be grateful for the lessons learned, so she doesn't have to ever go back to the same scenario.
And I think, one last thing I must say about that is that when you're in a place where you're healing from abuse and trauma and betrayal and all of these things, don't ever think that you're supposed to do it on your own. A lot of the time, strong people, because they're successful in one area of their life, they feel, I've got this. I'm going to just do it on my own. Um, the same thinking that created the problem cannot solve the problem. So you need new thinking, you need new information, new perspectives to be able to help you heal. And I'm not saying it because I'm a coach, right? And this is what I do. It can be anybody, but someone that you trust and someone that is actually knowledgeable in this area. Very often we get advice from people based on their life experiences and things they have not yet healed. That's not the kind of advice we want, right? We want advice from people who have walked the path, who have some kind of expertise or some kind of experience in having done that. All right. So thank you very much, everybody, for attending this. And I will see you all tomorrow at 5 then. If you have any questions, I am going to post the YouTube link in the Love Evolution group. If you have any other questions, you can pop it in there and I'll answer them for you.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much,
Cass. That
Cass.
was fabulous. Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Most welcome, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Cass. Wonderful.